Hello, good morning, everybody. Got a couple of questions. Can you guys, whoever asks a question, whoever asks a question that you don't hear anything, can you just say can you hear me? Okay, all right. So, hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Ken Miguel, and here with me today is one of our best tech support guys in the company, Mike Lugo. Mike, how are you?
Doing good. How are you, Ken?
Doing great. It's a beautiful day here in San Dimas, California. It's still sunny and it's almost Thanksgiving, so I'm pretty happy. Again, thank you guys for joining us. This webinar is brought to you by Bolite Technology Group with over 25 years of experience in the security industry. We manufacture only the latest in HD over coax, IP, from small business all the way to enterprise level video surveillance solutions. So let's get right down to it. In this webinar, we're going to talk DVR. So we're actually going to do a training on the DVR user interface, or what we call GUI. If you guys have any questions, there's a questions box on your screen. Just type in your question and we'll stop and answer them as we go through with this training webinar. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so this webinar is meant to educate you users who already use our DVRs. Maybe there's features that it has that you guys don't realize that it does. Also, if you've never used our full HD 1080p DVRs, they're very, very good, simple to use systems, and you'll realize after this training that they really are easy to navigate and easy to connect to your customer's phone and other mobile devices. Okay, so let's look at what comes in the box when you open this system up.
Okay, so in the box, this is real important. We hear this a lot. The CD that's in the box gets thrown out, gets lost. That CD is pretty important, but you can always go to our website, boliteco.com, and find the surveillance client. That's the CMS for our DVRs. So surveillance client for the Mac or for the PC. So it's real important. That CD is pretty important, but if it does get lost, you have a way to get it.
Okay, so the packaging includes a mouse, remote, power supply for the DVR, a hard copy user manual, and the disc. Okay,
Yep.
So like Mike said, don't throw away your disc. The disc has the surveillance client CMS software. There is a soft copy of the manual in there as well. And what else is in there?
There's a couple other tools you might need: a player, PDF program to read all that stuff.
Okay, so let's look at the front of the unit. There's buttons in the front. You have your manual, play, start, stop, menu button. There's a USB port on the front for the mouse. And there's also a PTZ control buttons. I mean, honestly, the easiest way to navigate through this DVR is the mouse,
Just
right?
the mouse, yeah.
Yeah, so there's buttons on there. Probably going to go away with the buttons later on because mouse is the way to go. And here's the back real quick. So you can see your BNC inputs. This is for 4-channel. Your outputs is going to be your HDMI and VGA. Now, as far as the outputs, can you use both at the same time?
You can, but they mimic each other. So whatever the lower resolution is, so let's say the VGA is lower, then the HDMI is going to take over that same resolution.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind.
Okay. So these DVRs also have audio inputs, which is equal to the number of channels, and an audio output. You see here you have your LAN port. You have another USB in the back, and your RS-485 and alarm ports. Okay, so now let's get right down to the GUI.
Yeah.
Okay,
so most of the time when you guys purchase a DVR, whether it be your customer or stuff, they're gonna see this screen here. 9 times out of 10, if we have the hard drive shipped already, they won't see this. But just in case you do, and you guys add your own hard drive, you will see a pop-up that says disk warning unformatted. So we're going to take in the process of doing that. One of the beauties of our DVRs is it has a wizard. It makes it real easy to set up the whole DVR process.
Okay, so
you get this pop-up. Go ahead and.
This is when you turn on the DVR. First thing you see.
First thing you're going to see.
And this is there's a hard drive.
Yeah. So this hard drive is installed, but not formatted yet. So once the hard drive is installed, there's a process of formatting it and getting it ready for recording.
So we're going to click on.
So we're going to close that window, that warning that we got. Okay. Then we're going to get the login. Default username is admin, no password.
Yeah. So out of the box, there's no password. Just click on login. You'll get right in.
And there we go. There's our splash screen window for our wizard. So we can go ahead and we can hit next. So first thing we see is our hard drive. We can see that it's unformatted and it needs to be formatted in order for us to start recording. So we can select it and then format. You'll get a prompt saying all the information will be erased. So make sure that it's a new hard drive. If it's an old one and you want to save some information on there, don't format it yet. So once we hit OK, the format process begins. Takes about no more than 30 seconds. This is a very quick process.
If you order the DVR with a hard drive, they format it for you.
Yeah.
The thing is already good to go.
So you can skip this process. Out of the box, it's pretty much set up. Take it to your customer, or they have them purchase it, plug it in, and it's ready to go. So the format's complete. I can hit OK and move on to the next step, which is my record schedule. A lot of questions on record schedule. How do I record motion? Talked about alarm, or just normal recording. This is where you can set it all up in step 2 of the wizard.
Okay, so again, this is very easy. I see a green, yellow, and red. When the green, so you see your time of the day and your days of the week. If you see a green line, that means it's 24/7.
24/7, normal recording.
24/7.
Yeah.
So if I want to set this to motion, all I do is click on this yellow button. Actually, I would need to clear out my, for example, I want to do all days, all my channels motion. So I just highlight all the green squares, click on motion, yellow, and then just drag my mouse, and that's it. It's on motion. And I'm going to do copy channel 1 to all, copy, boom, and I'm on motion recording.
Correct.
You can also set up different times with different record schedules. If I want to do, let's say, half of my day on 24/7, let's just say up to 10 o'clock, I'm just going to, again, drag my mouse, and I'm going to remove my motion, right? And then save it again. It's very easy. So what does it mean if I have green and yellow enabled? That means I'm recording 24/7, but my DVR is bookmarking motion events.
And that's pretty important, because if something does happen, you're recording 24/7, you don't want to go through the whole day trying to see when that incident happened. You know, maybe it's the middle of the night, you want to find it, you will have the motion in the bookmark to indicate when it happened. So it's a helpful tool.
Okay, and then you can check your channels here. You can have your channels in different record schedules. What is alarm record, Mike?
So alarm record is the picture that we showed of the back of the DVR has an alarm input-output section. That hooks up directly to your physical alarm. It'll either cause an alarm to trigger, or the alarm will cause the recorder to start recording. Go either way. And it's 4 to 12 volt input-output. So that'll trigger it. It's got to have that voltage either on or off to trigger the alarm. And yeah, you'll get the start record or send out alarm message.
So for right now, let's leave this DVR on motion record on all channels. All right, then after you finish your record schedule, click next.
So next this is another small but very important option, and it's time. I don't know how many times we get customers calling in saying, I have no recording, what's going on, the date's wrong. They're looking on the wrong date. Forgot to set the date up on the recorder. So as you can see here, it's the wrong date. So customer got this, turned it on, they're not going to find the recording because they'll be a year off. So you want to make sure that the date is the reason why we don't set it out of the factory like that is because it's all around the country in a different time zone, so we can't set the time for you guys. So it's important to emphasize to get the date right. It's real simple. Click the date. We're going to go back 1 year, and we're in November. Today's the 17th. That's it. And then you can have military time or regular 12-hour time. Also, the menu timeout. Menu will time out after 1 minute by default. You can adjust that to never time out, or your preference of how long you want it to be on. And then, of course, the format that you want the time and date to be displayed. Pretty simple. Time. So I'm going to do. Oops. For us here, it is 11. So 11, 12. That's it. So I can hit next. I'm done with the time. Oops, it's the morning. There we go. So here's another function that you guys will not have to really mess with, but certain instances you do. Networks with ports that have these ports taken, or if you have more than one DVR, these are ports you might have to change. So your HTTP port is the port you'll use to access the DVR through your browser. The client port is what you'll use to when you're using your phone or you're the CMS. You're going to need to use the client port. So by default, you guys should get this already set up for you. DHCP and UPnP enabled, which enables our Quick Connect.
So one of the best things about our DVRs is the feature we call Quick Connect. You guys used it. It's great. It's literally you plug this DVR to your customer's router or internet switch, and as long as there's internet, it will connect to their phone or PC or Mac, tablet. It doesn't matter. So out of the box, it's going to be set on DHCP and
UPnP enabled.
So if you just want to use a Quick Connect, don't change the settings.
Yeah, for sure. And really, there's nothing really you have to change at all. Like I said, some instances you might have to change the port numbers. That's very rare. But just to show you where it's at, it's in the wizard. For the most part, you can skip over this section. So once that is complete, we can go to the next, which is email configuration notification. Another feature that we get a lot of calls on. How do I set this up? How does it work? Pretty simple. You enable it here. Once enabled, you'll see that the other sections open up and you can go ahead and set your settings. This is going to be specific to your provider. Every provider is different, different ports, different security levels, SSL. So you can see that there's a sender and a receiver email or section. So the sender and receiver do have to be different, and you need the password of the sender in order for the DVR to send out emails from the particular machine. There's a section where it says interval. So this is another important section. If you set this up for 3 minutes, then you're going to get an email notification every 3 minutes. So be sure when you let the customer know that you're setting it up, how they want to receive them. You want to receive just on motion, just alarm triggers? Do you really want to receive an email every 3 minutes?
Will you get a video clip or a screenshot?
It's a screenshot.
Okay.
It's just a notification, yeah. So here's another section that it's become obsolete because of Quick Connect, the DDNS, which is name resolution. So you don't have to remember IP addresses. We don't really deal with IP addresses no more because of Quick Connect. Some instances the customers do though. This allows you to add a DDNS, which we have our own.
So
that's
we
free.
have our own DDNS server.
Yep.
Bolide DDNS.
Yep, and it's free. It's a free service we offer. BolideDDNS.com. and fill out the registration. It gives you a domain name, username, password. You enter that information here, and you can now access your DVR through, my DVR at boliddns.com. So that's a free service.
So let's say we're going to use Quick Connect, so we don't need DDNS.
Yeah.
So I just click on save.
Click on
and
save.
It will save all the settings that we
all the settings
changed.
you just did. Yep. That's it.
Okay, so wizard complete.
So for the most part, your DVR is set up, ready to go. There's our camera.
Okay, so this is what you see. This is one channel plugged in.
Yep.
So let's look at the icons on the screen here.
Okay. So this is a smaller menu that pops up, and it's a sub menu, I guess you could say, that gives you a couple options. The first one would be a little camera here, record. So this is a manual record. We set up motion earlier. Let's say there's no motion going on, but I want to record just this one channel right now. I can hit that, enables the recorder to start recording. So now it's recording. You see the R jump on the screen. Now you know it's recording. The next icon is snapshot, or I'm sorry, instant playback. Another cool feature about the DVR is it allows you to instantly play back what just got recorded. You don't have to go through the menu, search record. I can go directly to what I just recorded. Right there. There it is. That easy.
How far back does it go?
So this timeline at the bottom will allow you to go back from when you started that recording. So,
okay.
Yeah. Let me close this out. Go back to my menu. So it is back to the live view. Oops. The next one is digital zoom. Digital zoom is different from optical zoom because it's a digital enhancement of the pixels you already see.
Okay, but you're going to have to zoom in pretty close to objects.
Pretty close to objects, and it's different from an optical zoom. And we'll go over optical zoom in a bit because our recorders now have control over coax, and the camera I have plugged in has a option to zoom from the DVR. It also has cameras OSD from the DVR, and I'll show you guys how to set that up in a second. So the third one, or the fourth one, I'm sorry, is color settings. I got a call this morning about adjusting the color saturation of the DVR. They had an older system. We're used to those colors. Now the newer system, colors are a lot brighter. They might come through differently. This allows you to adjust any channel from here, and hue settings, brightness, contrast, and saturation of colors. And you can see on the screen, it's instant. Save it, and that's it. You can move on to the next option. So the last one that we see here is this PTZ icon. This PTZ icon is going to allow you to get into the OSD of the camera. And I'll show you how to set that. It's not set up yet. We'll go through that. But if it was a PTZ, this is your controls, zoom, left, right, focus, iris, things like that.
We have a motorized lens camera here?
Yeah. Yeah, we got to set it up first, and then we'll show you how to do the motion. So that's the little sub-menu. Now let's go into our main menu, which is here.
So you right-click on the screen, and you'll see this main menu.
Yeah.
Click on main menu.
And so this is the whole interface, the whole purpose of this training, to get to know this GUI a little bit. Real simple to navigate. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing really that is on the screen you're going to read and be like, what does that do? For the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory.
So first one up is going to be display settings. Under display is live. So you see here channel 1, and then you can name your camera.
Mm-hmm.
How many characters can you name your camera?
I think it's 8.
8
Yeah.
characters. You can say position. This is if you have a quad view or
where you would like. No, this is where you would like the display to be.
Okay.
Yeah, as you can see now, it's the top left and middle. You can move that around the screen.
Color settings is the same
as the
see on the little sub menu. Covert allows you to hide the camera.
So yeah, so covert, pretty important. So if you set covert on the DVR, it's not going to be covert on your mobile device or your CMS. This is for the DVR. These are DVR settings.
You won't see it on your monitor.
On your monitor, exactly. You'll still see it on your phone or your CMS. So it's only for the DVR.
And we get asked a lot if a business owner doesn't want his employees to see certain cameras, then you can hide them.
Yeah.
Record time.
Yeah. So it's going to show the time basically on top. You can see there.
And then what's age?
That's actually for a different model DVR, so it doesn't apply to this.
Okay.
To our DVRs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, you can, after you made your changes, you can copy channel 1 to all.
Yeah.
Okay. So next one up is output. It's a very important part of this menu interface. First, video output, live out. View setup, what does dynamic mean?
So it's going to allow you to have either your screens changing or set a certain way. So it's set to dynamic.
So if you set it to static, you can just have this one camera display.
Exactly.
And it never changes.
Exactly. Once you change it, then you can go into your sequence mode and see how you want. If you want sequence enabled, is it going to sequence, you know, if it's a 16 channel 4 at a time, or, you know, just different ways to view your camera's sequencing.
Okay. And sequence is?
You're
seeing one camera at a time?
Or 1 or 4 or, you know.
And here's your sequence time. You can allow the DVR to change the sequence every 5 seconds.
You know, you set the time you want.
Okay, so VGA and HDMI resolution. So what's so important to know about this?
This is one of the most important things we're probably going to talk about in this webinar. So we have a lot of issues with, nowadays we have, you know, ultra high def TVs all the way down to old CRT monitors. Keep in mind that this is a 1080 DVR. So what does that say? It's going to do, output's going to be 1080, or you'd like it to be 1080, because why would you buy a high def recorder and not want to see that high def? Here's a problem that people run into. Either they'll set this too low. You imagine a 1080 monitor in your home is not going to be able to do 800 by 600, or vice versa. A 800 by 600 CRT monitor is not going to be able to output 1080, vice versa. So be sure when you are, you know, if you're installing these for a customer or they're buying them, you let them know what kind of monitor they're using. Is it a TV? Is it a monitor? Just get the resolution right. Sometimes you'll get, you know, unsupported resolutions, and then we're in trouble. You have to bring another monitor in to get it right.
Yeah. So sell it with a 1080p display or monitor.
Yeah.
If you have an older monitor, you're gonna have to plug this DVR to a high def monitor, then lower the resolution for it to work. Because what's gonna happen is you'll see the splash screen on the unit, then it will just be a black screen.
Yeah.
It's not the DVR, it's the unsupported resolution.
I recommend if you have a VGA monitor that is low resolution, take it with you if you're an installer, or something of that sort. VGA is more universal than the HDMI, and of course, once you go live, you'll do HDMI, but just on setup purposes.
So we got a question: what if we change the output to 1080 and the monitor doesn't support it? So that's what we're talking about. If it's on 1080 and your monitor doesn't support it, it will show the splash screen, then it will just be a black screen. So you think something's wrong with the DVR, but it's actually the monitor doesn't support the resolution. So what you have to do is you have to plug it to a high def TV, lower it down to the lowest, which is 800 by 600.
Yeah.
And it will work with an older monitor by VGA.
And 90% of all the settings can be done through the CMS or remotely, but unfortunately, live output is not one of them. So
make sure the monitor supports it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to privacy zone. This is privacy masking. So you can do 4 zones. Let's just do an example. So I'm going to click channel 1, enable area 1. Let's just do one area. Set up. So I have the square, and just move it around. So let's say I want to hide this section right here. And go back and save it.
So it's basically going to make a block of that.
So it's just, it's blocked.
So it's different than covert, because covert will block the whole screen. privacy just does a certain area, up to 4 areas.
Okay, we got a question. If you don't have another TV, then what happens? You can connect it to the network, NVR's IP, and change it.
So like I said, 90% of all settings can be changed remotely or to the CMS, but the output is not one of them because it's local to the machine. So it doesn't allow you.
You can ask your distributor to set the settings to 800 by 600 before you take it home. If you know that your customer is keeping an older monitor and it won't support 1080p.
Yes. Yes.
But like I said, I mean, if your monitor is an older one, then the user's not getting the benefit of buying a 1080p DVR. But if there's really no other option, ask your reseller to switch the resolution down to VGA resolution.
Yeah.
And then you can just change it back up.
Change it up, yeah.
Later on. Okay, so that's display settings. Very simple. Let's move on to record parameters. So under record, you see record. So you see channel 1, and it says here record switch. What is record switch?
So this basically enable or disable the recording. Maybe you want just to view one channel. You don't want a recording. You can do that here. You can disable the record function.
Okay, and pre-record.
So pre-record is going to be for your alarm motion. Do you want it to record before the incident happened? Which is, yeah, you want to do, sometime before because you want to catch it right at it happening. You want to see what happens prior to it.
How many seconds is pre-record time?
So 10 seconds, 30 seconds, you could adjust it. I think default's 10. Yeah.
All right, and then so that's record. Again, you can copy channel 1 to all. Let's move on to record schedule. We went over this on the wizard. See how simple this is. Now we're on motion recording. So let's say I want to set this DVR back to 24/7 recording. I just click on motion record, disable. So I just drag my mouse across my screen, click on the normal record button, then drag it.
Yep.
Copy channel 1 to all. Then boom, all my channels are now on 24/7 recording. See how fast that is? I want to set it back to motion. Let's say I want to do half-day motion. I just do this. Boom. Go back to normal. Remove the squares. Copy. Save. That's it.
Very simple.
All right. Okay, so next is going to be mainstream. So this is where you can change the resolution on the cameras, right?
Yes.
On the recording of the cameras.
And why would we do that? For a few different reasons. Maybe hard drive space. Maybe the customer has an older monitor that they don't care to use the 1080. You can lower the resolution and get more time out of their recorder. Cameras, 720 cameras, you can also put on the 1080. Audio is here as well. Maybe their network does not have the ability to do high def. You can lower the bit rate to get better, faster images. So things like that.
Okay, so let's say I want to set it 720. So this DVR records maximum 1080p at 15 frames per second per channel.
Yeah.
If I want 30 frames, I lower to 720. Then
do 30.
Increase 30 to 30 frames. But I mean, it's very easy. Just mess around with the toggles and change your record settings. If you want to record audio, then just check the audio box here. Right?
Yep.
So let's say all channels have audio. Just check all of these. Then you can actually just copy again channel 1 to every channel on the DVR.
And just a quick note. So we're in the record section. So I know we enabled audio. That's to record audio. Now, if we want to hear audio over our mobile device or CMS or remotely, then in the sub stream, you enable it as well. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, so just FYI, our DVRs, the 4 and 8 channel 1080 DVRs have 1 hard drive bay up to 6 terabyte in storage, and then the 16 channel has 2 bays that will do up to 12 terabyte, right?
Yep.
So 6 per bay. Yep. and they're also hybrid. So these DVRs will accept analog cameras.
Yeah.
And TVI, right?
And TVI.
TVI, yeah. We have a comment here. We think that you should record at the best resolution, even if your monitor is lower for evidence. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
That's exactly right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we agree. So even though you're seeing it on VGA resolution on the monitor, I agree absolutely. The DVR is still recording at 1080p.
Yeah.
So, yes, I totally agree with that. I would never compromise resolution. I would rather compromise frames per second than resolution. Setting this to 720 at 30 frames, you're really wasting the DVR's capability.
Yeah.
Because 15 frames with a human eye, you really can't see that much of a difference.
And you won't. You really. It's almost. You won't see the difference.
Yeah. So set it at 1080. You bought a 1080p DVR. Set it at 1080p recording resolution. All right. So that's record resolution. Let's move on to network settings. Like you said, Mike, if they quick connect, leave it at DHCP.
Yep.
And then enable UPnP.
Yep.
But you can also use different methods, right?
Yes. Yes. So it's pretty rare that different methods do have to be used, but they're there. Especially today, everything is pretty much a universal thing now with routers and stuff like that. So it's getting easier.
Okay. So under network is substream. So what is substream?
So I just talked about the audio. We enable it in mainstream. This is a substream. This is where you enable it in substream to get it over your mobile device, or if you're logging in remotely, this is where you would set that up. Enable it here, and now you'll be able to hear it over your mobile device. So under substream, real quick, your frames per second and your throughput's a little different, because this is for your mobile device. Remember, you're always recording maximum. This is a lower resolution that you're viewing, so you can get it over your mobile device at a faster speed and not compromise your video quality.
If you guys ever use our mobile app, you can see 16 cameras on LTE, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're looking at 16 cameras on your phone, you really don't need to see the full mainstream, because, I mean, the tiles are going to be the size of a nickel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you can always set it to mainstream if needed.
If needed, yeah.
So email notification, again, our DVRs do SMS notification. Will send you a high-def screenshot of the activity the camera's seeing. Like I just want to mention again, you want to set a sender email and a receiver email, and they have to be different email addresses.
Yeah.
Okay. Our dealers have just set up a email on Gmail or Yahoo, and just enter the correct information, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
All right, so email schedule. So one con about email notification is they get annoying. If it's sending you emails all day and there's a dog or a leaf blowing through a street, you don't really want to get those emails. So what you can do is set a schedule for it, where you're only getting emails when you want to get emails. Okay, so just like
Motion.
Our record schedule, it's very easy. Green is notifications triggered by motion events. Yellow is alarm events. Exception means miscellaneous activities such as hard drive failing, power loss, things like that. Okay, so if I'm gonna just enable email notification for up to 8 a.m. So I just remove all these.
Yeah, because if you're at home, it's in your home.
Yeah.
You don't need to be getting email notifications if it's detecting you, or triggers going by.
So this means I'm only going to get emails before I go to work at 8 in the morning. Very neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's email schedule and email configuration. Let's go to DDNS.
So we talked about DDNS. Like I said, it's pretty much obsolete, but it's an option that's there.
But we have it.
Yep.
We have our own DDNS server.
Yeah, and it is free. It's a free service that we offer. A lot of companies charge you for it.
RTSP.
So this is pretty cool.
real-time streaming protocol.
This is something that's previously only seen in IP cameras. This allows you to have a stream put onto your website, or you're running through a server of your cameras, a constant live stream. Yeah, it's not that hard to configure, but like public viewings might need it, situations like that. It's a cool feature to have.
File transfer protocol.
So this is think of it as a fail-safe backup. This will send screenshots to a network folder of what's going on. So if someone steals the DVR, you'll have backup of what happened somewhere on a network.
Okay, so that's network settings. Next is going to be alarm. So under alarm, this is where you set your motion detection area, right?
Yeah.
So for example, channel 1, motion is enabled. Sensitivity, how would you describe sensitivity from 1 through 8?
So the higher the number, the more sensitive. Right, so I want to increase my sensitivity to 8. That's going to be way more sensitive than 1.
So well, let's say a leaf or a rain.
Exactly, perfect.
On the screen, will it trigger on sensitivity 1 at the lowest sensitivity setting?
So yeah, you'd wanna pick the sensitivity up, because rain, that's gonna set off all kinds of motion alarms.
Yeah, well, I mean, the motion is based on moving pixels, so really any moving pixel will trigger the motion.
Yeah, and you got to keep that in mind, because on a hot day, you might get a mirage type effect that will trigger motion. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, so buzzer. There's a buzzer. Actually, the DVR makes noises.
Yeah. I haven't met or talked to anybody yet who likes this feature, but it's there. Yeah. It will just make an annoying beeping noise over and over.
Yeah, and the user might appreciate that, right?
Yeah, it's very true. So it is there for those who would like that. Maybe they're in another room and they want to know if someone comes in the front door, it'll set a buzzer. So that's something to have.
What is post-recording? It says 30 seconds.
So post-recording is after the motion is detected, how long do you want it to record? So this is a key feature of motion detection. How long after the incident happens do you want it to go? You might want it to go for something might happen after that motion. So you're able to adjust that. So
by default, set to 30 seconds. You can set it to as long as 5 minutes. Latch time.
So latch time is how long that beeping noise basically is going to go on for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now here you see area. You can just click on setup, and you see our screen here. So whichever areas are in red means that area is where motion is being detected.
Correct.
So let's just say let's remove the area that we masked. So I'm just going to draw a square, and that's it.
Yep, that's it.
Right, so right now it's only detecting areas outside of our blacked masked area. So you can copy the same format from channel 1 to all. Okay, so we have a few marks here. You can actually have it send you a message.
Well, so yeah, the show message is the bottom. You see that little letter? It's going to show you that there's a recording or a motion going on. Send email, obviously, self-explanatory. Send an email.
And full screen.
So full screen is like if you have it in quad mode, or you're seeing 8, 16 cameras. When it detects motion, it's going to go to single screen.
It'll blow up.
Yeah.
Right. Another cool feature that not a lot of people realize is, for example, I detect motion on channel 1. But I want my DVR to record in channel 4, 5, and 6 because it's pointing at the same area. So you can actually set it up like that, right?
Yep. So yeah, different angles of the same, someone breaks in my front door, I want to see what's going on my back door. So you allow it to do that by just setting.
So under here it says record channel, and I can record 1, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Now you have to watch out though, because we've seen this. Hey, I set my DVR to motion recording on one channel only. How come it's recording in the rest of the channels? And this is something that they accidentally put on.
Yeah, and that's because they do the copy to all.
Yeah.
So if I did copy to all right now on channel 1, so guess what? All my channels are only going to record motion on channel 1.
Yeah. So if I go to channel 2, then yeah, same thing.
So yeah, be careful when you do the copy to all in this section.
We have a question. What will cause the camera to record when there's motion only in that area that you drew and not the rest of the screen? Moving pixels.
Yeah, moving pixels.
Yeah, moving pixels triggers motion.
Like I said, sometimes on a hot day, a mirage will trigger it, or any kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's really not. It's moving pixels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's alarm. So, all right, now we've already done our display and record settings. Let's go to record search.
So record search, pretty simple to navigate, really easy.
So ways to look at recordings by calendar search and then by event search.
Yeah.
So Mike, let's show us calendar search. Let's pull up a video file right
So in the calendar, you can see that today's the 17th, obviously, and on the corner, there's a little orange triangle cut out. That's indicating that there is actual recording for that day. So channel 1, I want to see what's going on. Hit the play button. There it is. This is the recording that I have on my timeline down here. You can see that that's the recording I have just since we started this webinar. But if I wanted to switch to different channels, I'd be able to do that from the screen as well.
And it's color coded. So green is 24/7, yellow is motion, red is alarm.
Yep. So yeah, my preference is doing it this way. I think it's the easiest because I could see everything at once rather than searching a particular time. If I know what the time is, I can see it from here from my timeline. But that's my personal preference.
Now, if I want to back up to a flash drive, what do I need to press?
Yeah. So if I want to back up to a flash drive, I can see my recording here. If I stop it, now I can do a incident, search of instances, right? Or I can see my timeline. So right here, I see a disk, a back button, and a search. What I want to do is I want to search. So I can see I have 4 files here, my recording. I'm going to check that. Tells me my file size. So when I go to back it up, I have my thumb drive in there already. It gives me the option to H.264 or AVI. Now, this is important because when it comes time to give this file over to somebody, H.264 is it's the raw real image.
Media players will not play H.264 files, so you have to either convert it to AVI using another software, or these DVRs you can record it directly as AVI.
Yeah. And why is that option there? Some courts want the raw footage; they don't want a converted version because it's tampered. They say sometimes. So in that case, you would need to do H.264 and take a player.
So we'll just save it. And right here, if there was a thumb drive, it'll show your device, and then you can name the file whatever you want, then click on OK.
Yep, and that's it. That simple. Very, very easy.
Okay, so let's go back to record search.
Which is the cell I've done both.
Okay,
so yeah, search will be the same.
So we show the calendar search. Now there's event search. This is very cool. So let's say today. Now I want to search all my videos today. So I see November 17th. Time is 12 a.m. to, all day. I'm just going to search. And these are files that I recorded today from this channel. Now I can do instant playback for each one. Say I don't know which one of these files have the incident in there. So I just do playback, and we'll play it back instantly. Right? Very cool. Instant playback. Right? And actually, I can back it up right there. Or I can just check the events, then click on backup, and again, it will send you to that AVI or H.264. Then you can save it right there.
Yep.
So we get asked, hey, I want to back up a day's worth of video, right? You can, if you have enough storage to do it, carry it, but you don't have to back up one at a time. You can do multiple files and just plug your flash drive, then click on backup here, and it will just dump it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So this could be a day's worth of video.
Yeah. And as you can see, they come in 253 megabyte file increments.
Yeah. Okay. So that's record search. It's very simple. If you guys have questions, again, just type in your questions on the questions box, and then we'll answer them for you. All right. So the next menu item is device. So under device, you see HDD for hard drive.
Yeah.
So on here, you'll see the hard drive that we just formatted earlier, that it's in good working condition. It shows my storage capacity and how many hours I have left.
Yeah.
Will it change if I lower my resolution?
Yeah, it will. So it's gonna go to let you know how many hours of recording you have per your settings.
Okay, so I can select here, and if I want to format it, I click on select, then format.
Format.
I'm not going to format right now, but I want to show you that. Also here you see overwrite. You can have it overwrite after a day, 3 days, 7 days, 90 days. Out of the box, it will be set to default.
Yeah.
Meaning when your hard drive is full, it will replace the oldest recorded videos. PTZ.
So yeah, PTZ. So I talked earlier about control over coax, a new feature that we have. This is where you're going to be able to enable that feature or function.
Mike,
Under
line 1, please.
Under protocol. So you see here that protocol Palco D is usually, you see that with PTZs. So under PTZs, you see Palco D, Palco P, and coax. So if we send just the coax, that's control over coax. Even though it's not a PTZ, it's still a zoom camera. So we do that here. Channel 1.
If you have motorized lens,
Motorized lens.
you
So
put it to coax.
once you go coax, you have to worry about any of these other settings like baud rate, bit rate, stuff like that. So I can save that. Save. Okay, so I'm gonna get out of this menu real quick so I can show you how this works.
This is a bolide motorized lens camera.
So once I come in here, now there's a new icon right here that indicates that I can use this feature. If I hit that, now I can see the menu of my camera, which we have blocked off, but it's usually on the quick switch if you're familiar with our cameras. I can make all my setting controls from the DVR. But, so let me get out of here. Let's close this up. And I want to do a zoom. So now I'm able to zoom from the actual DVR with my motorized camera. And it has autofocus, so you don't have to really worry too much about the focus, unless there's sometimes a spot or something will get on the lens and it'll cause it to not focus. Like in this picture, there's a wire in front of what I'm trying to look at, which is that box, and it's causing it to not focus on what I want to see. So that's when you would use the focus function. You know, just
pay attention. Make sure that your DVR is capable of control for coax.
Yeah. So our model numbers of our DVRs will have a C at the end, indicating that it has control over coax. And once again, it's real simple to enable.
It's very, very cool features for the installers. I mean, you don't have to manually do it. You just point the camera and you can adjust your zoom and focus later on at the DVR. Yeah,
this is a game changer, because prior they had to go back on the ladder, you know, use the control to get the focus and zoom right. No more. That's all done from the DVR.
And you're giving the user the ability to zoom in and out if they want, right? Using
Yep.
motorized lens.
Yep. So that's device PTZ. Of course, also on top of that is your PTZ function. Palco P, Palco D, and of course, if you're familiar with PTZs, baud rate, set your cruise and stuff like that here.
So cloud storage. This is we get asked about this. I mean, it's cloud kind of, but it's go into your Dropbox account, right?
Yeah, and it's the same as FTP or email notification. It's going to send snapshots of the alarm or motion that happened. But it's important because we've had instances where DVRs have gotten stolen, and where's your video? You know, these will take snapshots and
Port line 2.
and allow you to have a backup of that. So yeah, pretty important function. Hopefully in the future it's going to get to be video. We'll get there soon.
Okay, so that's device. So let's move on to system. So these are more system configuration menus. However, there's a few things here that you want to pay attention to. One, like we mentioned earlier, is make sure that your DVR has the correct time and date.
Yeah.
We can't set it from here because we ship to everywhere in the world. So if you're the installer, make sure that you set it to the correct time and date. So when you pull up videos later on, they're under the correct time and date.
Yeah. Yeah. Another function within this system I want to point out is, of course, users. How do you set users? How do you all day long? I want to set.
So let's start here. General.
Yeah.
Time.
That's all.
Daylight
This all
savings.
time. Yeah. Daylight savings.
NTP.
If you have an NTP address, this is where you put it.
Okay. So under users now, this is where you want to.
Yeah. So users. You have admin, of course, and you have up to 7 additional or 6 additional users on top of that. You can enable their functions, what they do, cameras they can look at, what settings can they change, things like that. Pretty self-explanatory, like any other DVR. There's an edit button at the bottom that allows you to edit that particular user.
If I want to set a password for my customer, I just click on, let's say, admin access edit, enable password, and then enter a password, and then do it twice.
Yeah, so 8 characters. It's got to be 8.
Yeah, it's got to be 8 characters.
Numbers or letters.
All right. Now, if you want to set a user, I enable it. Enable user 1 password. I can enable a password, put a password in, and get 8 characters for the password, guys. And let's say it's already set up. I can actually it's disabled password. Oops. And I can actually change my permissions.
Yeah.
So I can block out certain functions and menu items. Like, let's say I don't want my user to see my live video or my recorded videos. You can set it. You can hide certain channels. You can hide certain channels from playback. You can hide record schedule.
Block remote logging.
Yeah, you can block whatever menus you want to block.
Yeah.
Okay, you can have up to 7 users?
Yeah, up to 7.
Now, how many users can log on the DVR at the same time?
So that's a good question. We hear this a lot. So 3. Limited to 3. So sometimes we go, oh, it's not connecting. It's not that. This is already too many users looking at the device already.
Okay. So that's user settings. Let's go to info.
So
see if this look familiar, the QR code.
This is important because a lot of customers don't want to have their QR code that's on top of the DVR out there for everybody to see. You take it off, how you know what it is? You can always go into the DVR. The image is there, and also at the bottom is the actual ID. You want to type it in manually, it's there for you.
Yeah. If you guys are already using or taking advantage of the Quick Connect function, not only can you scan the sticker, you can scan this too. And just look at it on the bottom, your P2P ID, that's your device ID. If you're using the CMS software, so this ID you'll see underneath the QR code on the sticker on the unit, or right here.
Yeah.
And what about the IP address?
So yeah, IP address, other information you might need for your own personal information or just identification purposes, it's all there.
Okay, now log. This is events log.
Events log, yeah.
So
camera got disconnected, network settings, stuff like that. Everything is going to be there.
Right. So this is recording not just motion or not just recording video, but any activity on the DVR. So if somebody changed a record schedule or any setting on there, it'll record the event that has been changed here.
Yeah.
So if somebody's trying to do something sneaky, there's no getting away. It records everything.
Yep.
We have a question. Do we update the firmware before we ship out our DVR units?
So we'll send them with the most recent updated firmware. For the most part, our DVRs really are solid in terms of firmware. IP is a little different. There's always new firmwares coming out for IP cameras and NVRs, but DVRs, they're pretty consistent where they are. They stay. If a new firmware is needed, then we'll let you guys know. But yeah, you don't have to update any firmware.
Yeah, well, I think one of our advantages, we've used the same platform for a number of years.
Yeah.
Probably 8 years now. We have the same GUI, and we have the same software for our NVRs and DVRs. Same app. The GUI looks the same, so there's not more to learn for you guys. If you know how to use our DVRs, you can use our NVRs, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, so that takes care of system. Let's go to advanced settings. This is one of our last ones. Under maintenance, what do we got here? What do we need to look
So auto reboot. So just to keep it fresh, you can have it reboot every week. You set the time date every day. It depends how you want to do it. Just to keep it fresh. Keep in mind that if you set a password to the DVR, when it does this, it's going to come back up. It's going to be recording, but your live view is going to be not showing until you put the password back in. So just keep that in mind. Another important option here is the load defaults and actually it's in the next one, events. Default settings, of course, you change here. Yeah, and then
so
I'll show
if you screwed everything up and you can't
defaulted.
get things back to manufacturer settings, just go to low default.
Yeah,
right?
and real quick, so inside
So
load defaults,
what happens if the user or the installer forgets the password? And I've heard this from a couple calls that we get here.
So yeah, if the password has to get reissued, you do have to go in, because it's a temporary password. You have to go in and then reset your DVR's password section, which is system, and then you can put your new password in. So yeah.
So they have to call our tech support
Yeah.
line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, under events.
So events this is another. So we talked about the DVR having a buzzer sound that goes off, and we get a lot of calls about DVR making noise. Here's where you'll be able to change. So the disk gets full, which if you have it on auto, it's not going to happen. But network loss, camera loss, video loss, you're going to get a buzzer sound notification for any of these alarm triggers. But on top of that, the buzzer is very annoying. But you can also set the emails to go off, or on the alarm out, if you have it's hooked up to your alarm system, it is going to trigger an alarm to send your alarm off. So that's a cool feature to have. Again, latch time is how long it's going to go off for.
So going back to maintenance, you can actually do a reboot schedule. So
Yeah.
every night or every week, the DVR can reboot and refresh network settings, things like that. Okay, so is that the last of our menus?
Yep.
Okay. So here, one more thing is shutdown. I mean, if you can, this is how you reboot or shut down the unit. We don't recommend you turning off the unit physically before clicking shutdown on the menu, because your your hard drive is recording.
Yeah.
And you don't want to screw it up somehow. I mean, they won't break every time you do it, but you just want to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
How often do you recommend that we reboot the system?
So by default, once a week, every Sunday at midnight. Some customers don't like it at all. They want it recording 24/7. That's fine. It's not going to harm it if you don't.
Yeah.
Just an option.
Well, what the benefit is, for example, like for some reason, it's disconnected to the network somehow, and then if you set it to reboot, and it will reset the network settings, and it will go back on.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of times networks are funny. Something, a hiccup in the network will cause the network to freeze up. It's not the DVR, it's the network.
Yeah.
And it just needs to get reestablished.
Yeah.
So that'll fix that.
Yeah, we're in LA, and we have good internet, but not every area does. Okay, so that's the main menu. There's a couple more things here on the main toolbar here that we want to mention. Picture-in-picture. Let's start from left to right. So manually lock screen.
Yes, that's going to allow you not to have screen changing, things like that. It's going to lock it.
Here you switch it to quad view. Right now we have one camera plugged in, so it's not single. You can do quad view, or you can do a 9-channel view.
Yeah. Or if you don't like that, there's
Or
a couple other views you can also have.
You can have one camera larger than the rest. This is how many channels? 9?
8. That's
8. This is 8. You have another view here.
This is 6.
6. So those are different layouts. It says auto sequence, so you can actually
enable the sequence that we talked about in display.
See how it does a countdown. Mute.
So audio, we talked about audio. If you don't want to hear nothing, mute it. If you've got microphones hooked up, you're going to want to have that enabled so you can hear what's going on.
And then PTZ cruise. If you have a PTZ, you can set it to do a cruise.
Yeah.
If you have it set up. And picture in picture.
So picture in picture is pretty cool. You pretty sure everybody's familiar with picture in picture. There are televisions that have it. This allows you to do that as well. And you can have up to 2. So cool feature, just another feature to have.
And then lastly is again playback. So you don't have to go through all the menus to get to your playback. You can click on playback here, and it will take you straight to that calendar or event search menu.
It's different than the instant playback that's on the other little menu that will take you straight to the playback.
That's instant playback. Yeah. So here you can go back and search video files from even years. A few days ago. Are you going to have a video of this presentation available? Well, yeah, this webinar is recorded, so yes, we can send it to you guys. You can watch it again. It'll be on our YouTube page. I'm gonna go over our YouTube page later on. Yes. All right. So yeah, we're gonna have this recorded. This is a recorded video. We'll send it to you. You drew a square around the masked area for motion recording. Will that cause the camera to only record when there's motion that area you drew and not by any other motion on the rest of the screen?
So anywhere that you see those red boxes, that part's going to record motion. So where there's a red box.
So, but if I blocked out that area, so it's black, and let's say that's an enabled motion area.
Yeah.
It will still not record because there's no pixels moving, right? Because it's blacked out.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You drew a square. I'm trying to get this question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, areas that have the red square. Let's go back there real quick with the red square. Oops. So right now, yeah. So every area that has a red square has the motion detection.
Yeah. We'll be detecting pixel movement.
Yeah.
So if the black square, it's not gonna be able to detect pixel movement because there's no image there. So.
Okay, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
For again, lots of cool features, very easy to navigate. Your record schedule is easy to navigate. You can do your motorized lens control. Digital zoom is as easy as that. One other question. Have you ever set up a motion sensor like the ones used for alarm to work as your motion sensor in order to minimize the...
Yeah, so yeah, you can do that. In the alarm setting, that's perfectly fine. The benefit of that is it's a true motion detection device, and it's not detecting pixels. So yeah, it's going to be a more accurate reading. So yeah, for sure, that's an option. We have another question.
Will the DDNS and Quick Connect conflict with each other and not allow you to connect remotely if you set up both on your DVR?
So that question is true and false. So it can conflict with each other. Set up the way we sent it out by default because it's on the NVR. I mean, the router will issue an IP address. So if you set up the DDNS, it's going to need a IP address that's port forwarded. So if you are familiar with routers and networking, yes, it can be done. If you're not too familiar with it, yeah, it could cause a headache. Which one is better? So we have another question.
What cameras are compatible with the new DVR? So it's HD cameras, TVI cameras, and NVR, is that NVR?
NVR, yeah, is asking.
And analog cameras.
So yeah, we're talking DVR. NVR's IP. It's going to go on VIF. Anything on VIF will work with the NVR. But
yeah, our NVRs are on VIF profile. That's 2.5, right?
That's 2.4.
2.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have another question. Which one is better in terms of the? So Quick Connect's easy, very easy, very simple. Like I said, if you're familiar with networking, you have a networking background, and you can always do that yourself, make it more tailored to your needs.
I mean, it only becomes a factor when there's multiple devices.
Yeah.
There. We have a question here. You mentioned a way to see the cameras on different websites. So you guys look at your screen. So I'm back to my RTSP menu. So how does somebody make this all work and stream their DVR on a site, embed it?
So when it comes to doing it on a website, that can get a little more complicated. If you want to just stream it, it's not too hard at all. VLC player is actually a RTSP server. And there's a string where it says instructions. That is the string that you need to input into a program like VLC player to get it to stream. And now you're using an IP address to see that camera.
But you can't control what you're seeing, right?
You can't,
you're
exactly.
seeing what the whole output of the DVR.
Yeah, so you could see, basically it's just a live feed. It's not like you can log into it or anything like that. It's just live stream. But it could be very useful. If you know someone that does web design, they will be able to create the HTML that will service the RTSP server. And yeah, that's definitely, you can have it on a web page. Yep.
Very good questions, guys.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well, let's close out. So let's go to the last slide. Where are we at? Okay, so here's our information. Again, thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you guys learned more on how to navigate through our DVR, and I hope you guys saw that it was very easy to get around it. This is recorded, and we can email them to you, and they'll be available on our YouTube page. So just type in Bolide Technology Group North America on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page with our webinars and other helpful videos. Visit us on Twitter, add us, follow us, Bolide Tech USA. And of course, our website is www.bolidecode.com. Now, if you guys need further training on this stuff, please contact us, email me, and we can set up a one-on-one training where we can answer more of your questions. This is going to be a three-part series webinar. Our next webinar next month, we're going to tackle our surveillance client CMS software for the same unit, the DVRs, and our iPac Next NVRs. Thank you for joining us again. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thanks, guys.